Welcome, everyone. This is Andre's Restart. This is my beautiful cat who just jumped on my lap. How you doing? And I am joined by my good friend and co-host Brandon. How you doing, buddy? You're not getting a kiss from me, just so you know. Just my cat.
Uh, I appreciate that. Um, I'm doing well. Been playing Mario Wonder. Was just showing it to my friend after I got off work earlier, and then me and you played it last night, and it's been very fun. Though I have not gone any farther than we did, which is second world.
Yeah. So basically, guys, tonight we're gonna be talking about there's, I guess you could boil it down to two things as the topic suggests, but the one thing's gonna have varying different angles, and that is Nintendo Switch 2. There are multiple different stories surrounding this potential new hardware. It's leaked, but we'll be discussing a lot of different stuff surrounding Switch 2. But what Brandon's alluding to is Mario Wonder. Brandon and I were playing it last night together, enjoying the online cooperative play. We're both in the middle of World 2. Last night we were working on 100%ing World 1. We're pretty close, and we've been enjoying the game. So we're going to talk about that as well. It just came out this Friday. I'm sure some of you have been playing it. Others may be on the fence. Others may not be interested, or perhaps are, like I said, on the fence. But we're going to be talking about that. So that is the general plan for the evening. Now, Brandon, while you were scarfing down your pizza, I made sure to let the chat know that you were scarfing down your pizza. And there is a little bit of a wondering of what kind of pizza you may have been eating. Orlando Mota would like to know.
It's from where I work, Hungry Howie's, which is only available in certain U.S. states. It's got cupped pepperoni, classic cup pepperoni, which are these like smaller, thicker pepperonis that crisp up around the edges, and grilled chicken. And then it's got this garlic and herb flavor on the crust, which is really good.
Garlic and herb. Can't go wrong with garlic and herb.
No, sir.
No, you cannot.
It's pretty much just like garlic bread on the end of my pizza. It's pretty great.
Cool. You can't go wrong with that. I was busy running errands today, so the podcast wasn't advertised throughout the day. So, and I just scarfed down a Burger King burger. It was not healthy at all.
Yeah, I doubt the pizza I ate was healthy either.
Yeah, well, I would have rather had pizza than a bacon cheeseburger from Burger King. But it tasted good.
Hell yeah. I haven't had a burger from Burger King in forever, bro.
Yeah, I actually thought the Burger King where I was out running errands, because I had to pick something up, and then there was a prescription, and they said the prescription wouldn't be ready. So I was like, okay, well, I just gotta wait here. That's what led me to the Burger King. And I thought it was gone, but no, like apparently the Burger King that was shut down was one that's a few miles away. So anyway, Burger King aside, let's do a little bit of Q&A. Let's check in with the chat. Let's talk about some things that are going on. People are asking for a few minutes as people roll in, and then we'll get into the topics. Unless there's something in particular outside of Switch 2 stuff and Mario Wonder that you would like to bring up now, Brandon.
No. I'm good.
Okay. I guess I will say I've been kind of thinking about doing this for a little while. I've mentioned it before. I think I mentioned it last week, and I said I might do it last week, but I said I won't make any promises. And I'm still not sure if I'm ready to make a promise. But I think I'm definitely warming up to the idea that I will start live streaming more. But how I'm gonna handle it, I think, is when I live stream outside of the podcast, it's gonna be unlisted afterwards. So if you're not around to watch it when it's live, you're not gonna see it. Now I am gonna maybe set things up for those who are Patreon members or YouTube members to be able to watch it on the back end. If you're a member, if you do care to watch the live streams after the
That'd be
fact,
cool. Yeah.
because they're going to be a merge of me playing games with you guys, and still Q&A, right? So if I do like a dedicated Q&A stream as I used to do in the past, I would leave that up because but I guess I just don't want to flood people with like 5 or 6 streams a week where it's just me playing Mario Wonder or Zelda or what have you.
It's not like you're doing a Let's Play or something.
No, yeah. So those kinds of things that would still have Q&A kind of flowed into it, but like those hybrid streams I'm sort of thinking about doing, those would be hidden on the back end if you're not around live, and you want to be able to see it if you remember. But everything else will be public for everyone to see. And the timing I'm thinking about doing them is 7:30 p.m. Eastern time to about 9, so about 90 minutes most evenings outside of podcast night. And when I have plans to live a life, on the weekends and such. But otherwise, that's what I'm thinking about doing. It's not 100% set in stone, but that is a consideration, kind of putting it out there for you guys. And on the note of memberships, I will point out that we still do have the feature of a call-ins, right? So if you're a member, just let me know ahead of time if there's a specific topic you would like to discuss. Let me know if it's something that we can work in. We'll talk about it briefly for a little bit. It'll be set up as an actual topic in the podcast, and you can join in if you'd like. You don't have to. If you just want to recommend a topic, that's fine too. If you want to leave a message of some kind and we can address that, that's okay. But if you actually want to join in part of the discussion, that's also possible. So putting it out there for those who would like to do that. But let's check in with the chat and then we'll get into the topics.
Oh yeah.
So Sky Swords Elisa. Hey Andres, is Ruby an Abyssinian? I think I spelled that right. You did spell that right as far as I'm aware. And she is an Abyssinian. So there you go.
What does that mean?
It's a breed of cat.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she's I got her from a breeder in Colombia. But the species or the breed is originally from Africa. So that's why she kind of looks. Some people think she looks kind of exotic because I mean she is, right? That you don't see. I'm not saying she's like a super rare cat, but she's a little bit out of the ordinary. In a good way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Unique.
All right. Let's see here. Wait, who doesn't like pineapple?
I don't like pineapple.
I love pineapple. I love pineapple in my
hate
pizza.
Pineapple. I hate pineapple just in general on everything.
Neon's Nook does not agree with pineapple either, but I like pineapple in my pizza, so it's okay.
You're
Nobody's
allowed to
perfect.
have your horrible opinions, and I'll
As
have
are
my
you.
great ones.
You can feel that way. Having hope. I finally beat Xenoblade Chronicles 1 yesterday. Now I'm sad I finally finished all the Xenoblade games. I really hope to get X soon. This is what you do. Start from scratch again. You start with 1, then you play Future Connected, then you play 2. No, then you play. You can do them in chronological order. Then you can do Tour of the Golden Country, then Xenoblade 2, then you play Future Redeemed, and then you play Xenoblade 3. Because the release order is
not chronological.
It's not. No, the release order is not chronological. But it would be fun to kind of go through chronologically, but that would probably take like 300 hours. And that's if you're like speed running it. Maybe speed running, like not like like going quickly, like blitzing. If you're like blitzing the games, because I mean,
technically you could do either 1 or 2 first. If you wanted to do them in order, like chronologically.
It'd be funny if we try and debate which game happens first in the chronology, 1 or 2. Like by how many days or seconds, if that's even possible.
I bet you could try to logic that out through the story.
Because from what I remember of the story, there is the big event that causes the new parallel universe to be created. And that's Xenoblade 1. So Xenoblade 1 is an entirely new world that was born. And that opening scene where you see the two giant titans fighting each other upon the sea, like that's a new world. And those two titans are essentially continents fighting each other. But that's not the beginning of Xenoblade 1 in terms of gameplay. Like those titans fight for like eons, and over time they eventually stop moving, and then life, stirs on these continents, right? But then you go back to 2, or not go back to 2, but when you go to 2, also a lot of time has passed there. There's this giant cloud sea, but before the big event that created this other universe, I mean, how much should I say without like kind of spoiling it? I mean, it came out in 2017.
Let's just say that there's another civilization that lived a long, long time before the events that happened in Xenoblade 2, which implies that there have been a vast amount of time before that game started.
Right. So the point is that exactly there is a big both games have a long history before the actual, I guess, current events that occur in the game.
Right.
I mean, they basically do happen around the same time. I'm just kind of wondering if we could like analyze the story and be like, no, this one happens like a year beforehand. There may not be any specific answer on that. That's just me going overboard with my speculation, or is it?
I can't really say without talking on my ass, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much. So, anyway. I think now would be a good time to jump into the topics.
Cool.
I'm trying to decide what order we should do it in, because we got a lot of Switch 2 stuff. Yeah, so
Switch 2.
You want to do all the Switch 2 stuff first?
Sure, why not? Close out with Mario Wonder stuff.
Okay. All right, let's do that. Okay. So I have at least 2 Switch 2 topics planned, but I could arguably make it more. But let's just talk about one thing first, and then we'll see how things shake out. So as you see here, I have a topic listed: Switch 2 first look. As a question, I'm not saying it's going to happen,
right?
But we're
speculation, folks.
Yeah, it's a talking point, and the reason why we're having this discussion is because last week, the Nintendo Switch first look trailer was privated. So, for some context here, that first look trailer is the most viewed Nintendo Switch related trailer there is amongst all the different games. I think last I heard it had over 50 million views. It might be the most viewed video on Nintendo's channel. Don't hold me to that. Actually, hold on.
Check.
We can literally go to Nintendo's YouTube channel and look up their most popular videos. So we won't be able to see that trailer unless they put it back up, which might make this entire conversation moot. But actually,
most popular.
Back up yet? It is not back up yet.
No. Currently, Super Mario Odyssey Nintendo Switch presentation 2017 trailer has 54 million views and is the most popular, most viewed video on Nintendo's channel at the moment. Actually, 2 of the top 3 are Odyssey trailers.
Interesting.
And then the second one's parental controls. I guess that makes sense.
I would love to double check how many views the first look Switch trailer had. Because last I heard it had over 50 million views, which would put it as at least the second most viewed Nintendo video, if not number 1, depending on how much beyond 50 it went. But yeah, it's currently not up. It's been privated. And the reason why this is significant is because last year, Nintendo privated the Nintendo Switch OLED reveal trailer and the Nintendo Switch Lite reveal trailer. And what happened was a few days later, they announced a Splatoon 3 OLED edition. Now, we talked about this last year. There was speculation, is this finally the time for Nintendo to announce the Switch 2 or Pro or what have you? And what it amounted to was an announcement. Those trailers weren't privated for nothing. It was for something, but it was just for Splatoon 3 OLED, and then like I don't remember the exact timing, but like a week or two later, or maybe it was a month or so later, but basically not that much long later, those trailers were put back up public again. So the implication there is that they privated these trailers to make the messaging clear on what this announcement was, because there can be some confusion with, Splatoon OLED edition versus OLED and things like that, right? So that's what happened last year. But then the year before that, 2021, we're going back to now. In that year, the Switch Lite trailer was taken down around the time that the OLED trailer came out. I don't remember the exact timing for this one either, but I think it may have been a couple days after. But the point is, they took down that trailer as well because they just announced the Switch OLED, and they wanted that marketing, that messaging to be clear. So here we have not just an OLED trailer or a Switch Lite trailer, but the Nintendo Switch first look trailer, the most important Switch trailer there is, the very first one that has, if not the most views ever on Nintendo of America's channel, the second most. I got
just had to re-download this video like a couple weeks ago to put it in the video.
Yeah. Why would Nintendo private that? And there's a few different theories why they would do that. As I just discussed with the history of the last 2 years, it might suggest that Nintendo has some sort of hardware announcement, be it a special edition or a revision of some kind. But a lot of people are thinking it could be tied to Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we have all the reports of Switch 2 coming out sometime next year. It was literally leaked during the legal case. Like, we know this thing's happening. We've heard about the dev kits. We've heard about the Gamescom tech demos. There's a lot of smoke here. Actually, even Doug Bowser, he conducted an interview Inverse conducted an interview with him, the president of Nintendo of America. He was asked about the Gamescom rumors. He didn't deconfirm the rumors. He just said he can't speak on it directly. So the fact that he didn't say it was false or anything like that.
He clarified that he won't.
You're right. He said that he won't. He chose. Yeah, exactly. So, but the point is that obviously something is coming. It's really just kind of a question of when. So with this in mind, with this trailer privated, and also this kind of talk we've had about Amiibos getting restocked, a whole bunch of them fairly soon, and these Amiibo restocks historically have been tied to some sort of Nintendo announcement. There's been a lot more discussion now than ever before about a Switch 2 announcement soon. So is that what's happening? What do you think, Brandon?
I mean, I'm just looking at the date, right? It's October 23rd, right? It's getting pretty late into the year. I guess they could do one next month. There's nothing huge coming out next month. It's not impossible. I mean, it seems like it's getting more and more possible, to be honest, with all these rumors and leaks. But I still am not ready to believe it. I don't know. It feels like it's later than I would have expected them to announce it. Like, I would have expected it to be earlier this month, if they were going to announce it this year. But there's not really much coming out next month. They got Mario Move It, or Mario. What's the new one called? They got the WarioWare
Move It on
WarioWare
3rd, and Super Mario RPG on November 17th.
Yes. So those are, you got a WarioWare game and a remake of an RPG that came out 30 years ago. Nothing too huge. I think you could announce it then.
Might be fairly hype, but I understand.
No, yeah, but the hardcore Nintendo community who wants to buy that game is going to buy that game.
There's not even any Pokemon.
There's not a Pokemon.
Stop talking me into this. I'm talking about it. I've talked about how I think it's an increasingly higher chance, but I didn't really kind of factor in that, November, but Nintendo might not look as that big of a month.
No, not really.
For November, I think. Oh, God.
I mean, if they are going to announce it this year-ish, I think it would be next month. I don't think they would. I mean, unless they drop an announcement tomorrow for this week.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I think the Mario Kart DLC announcement is happening in November. So that can help to bolster the month alongside WarioWare and Mario RPG. So if you
Yeah,
have
I
those
think
three
there's enough to
things,
where they don't need to announce anything, but they could
Yeah.
announce something if they wanted to. So that's the thing.
yeah,
It's
I
like
mean,
they don't need to announce it right now. Like they could just wait. It feels like they could just wait till next year and do it.
well, we don't know when it's coming out, right?
Yeah,
I
we don't
think
know.
most people believe that it's definitely happening in the second half. That's what VGC reported. That's what Eurogamer reported. Although, as we've said repeatedly, a more recent report of Eurogamer suggested that it could happen even sooner. So that's kind of like, for the people who want to switch to as soon as possible, like we have some material to kind of like be optimistic that it can, right?
I would like
But
that.
like, what other? Let's say this isn't. I mean, to your point, Brandon, like it still feels like maybe it's too soon. And if that is really the case, then what else could what could be the reasoning why they would private the arguably the most important Nintendo trailer that there is on their channel?
Is a very good question. So I'm thinking like if they do some sort of like just normal revision of the Switch, which would make sense to do for the last, couple of years of the system. It seems I mean we haven't had a revision of the processor since 2019. So I assume there's probably a revision they could make, but they don't need to announce that or remove a trailer. Like they didn't announce the battery one in a trailer. I don't think. I don't see why they would
No,
do another revision in a trailer.
that had no fanfare. They just had a different
Yeah.
box. Like it just looked like
And they just
slightly
like
tweaked the
updated
box
their
art.
website.
Yeah,
That was
that wasn't advertised. That was a quiet revision.
Yeah, and that's all I could really see them doing for the Switch at this point. I mean, maybe there's some sort of last like OLED or light type variant that they want to sell. Maybe there's a light OLED. But I just don't see why you wouldn't just take down the normal light trailer for that. I don't
Yeah,
see
those
why
are
you
still
take
up.
out the. Yeah.
Let me double check that. So
Yeah, are the OLEDs
here,
and the normal
I'll
one
sh-
up?
I'll share it with you guys. We can walk through this together. Okay. So here's Nintendo's page. I see if you search Nintendo Switch first look. Well, I searched it, right? But here I'm on Nintendo's main page, their most popular video. If it's not here, I don't even know how popular the OLED. So here's the OLED trailer. 14 million views, which is not bad. I wonder how far down I have to go to see the Switch Lite trailer. Because I'm pretty sure the Lite's not nearly as popular as the OLED. Hence why we haven't seen it yet. Or it was privated. Could it be? Let me just
look up the trailer. Yeah.
I'm going to. I don't see it. It's not. I think it's also gone.
Maybe there's a light revision coming out.
But it's both.
I don't know.
See, this is the trailer, but this is a repost from another channel.
Yeah, no, I saw a couple of those.
Yeah. That's interesting. The OLED's still up though.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't type. Yeah, I mean, there it is. That's just it's interesting. Huh. Okay. So it's not just the original Switch trailer. It's also Switch Lite. I don't remember anyone talking about that. I wonder.
No.
Maybe people didn't notice, or maybe maybe that also just happened.
Yeah.
What if that happened even more recently? It's interesting, right? So why would these trailers be taken down? Now, there's a few possibilities outside of us. Like I'm not saying a Switch 2 announcement isn't happening this year. I'm simply stating that there's plenty of reason to think it won't happen yet. I think the safer bet is that it's not happening. But boy, do I want it to. So
Bro, I want
the
that thing in my hands right now.
here's some explanations, right? Like some people will suggest that maybe there's a music rights issue, and that's why they had to private the Nintendo Switch First Look trailer. But
Huh.
what's weird about that is, well, there's several points you could argue. One, it's like the most important Switch trailer. Like, why couldn't they have stricken the deal where it would have been lasted longer or what have you? It's kind of odd that that would happen, but sometimes this happens, and then they private it for a little bit, work out the rights issues, and it comes back up. That may be the case, but if the Switch Lite First Look trailer is also down, and by the way, their release timings are not the same, because Switch Lite I think was announced like July or something, or June, like it was announced summertime. That it came out September. The Switch First Look trailer, the original Switch trailer, came out October 20th. So, while yes, it may be the case that they uploaded these ahead of time, I don't think the timing of them is similar in the respect of like in terms of maybe them kind of getting sort of like a certain amount of years in advance, and that they both expire around the same time when they would have been uploaded at very different times. Does that make sense? Like the anniversary of their expirations. So the fact that that trailer is also privated right now, I would say that makes it more or less likely that this is related to some sort of musical rights issue. It's possible. It's possible it could be both. Maybe this is just what happens towards the holidays. But I would find that odd because these trailers are used to advertise a Switch, right? So why would they be taken down? Unless it's not related to musical stuff, but maybe Nintendo doesn't want to market those anymore. Maybe they are phasing out the original Switch and the V2 and the Switch Lite, and maybe they're trying to clean up that stock, and that's why they're down.
Just sell the OLED?
Yeah, like
just do a revision on the OLED, like a quiet revision on the OLED. Keep selling that for a few more years.
What I'm kind of curious on, does Nintendo still have like the Wii U announcement trailer on their YouTube channel?
I don't know.
There is a Wii U overview video, but the rest just seems to be games. Oh no, there's a Wii U preview presentation, so that's still up. What about the 3DS? Does Nintendo have a Nintendo? I mean, that's even older, right? So like Nintendo kind of changed their strategy over the years, but Nintendo still has like the new 3DS XL First Look, the Nintendo 2DS announcement trailer. I don't, and those systems are done. Like they're phased out totally. So I guess the reason I was just kind of wondering about that is because like, what if Nintendo has this habit of taking trailers down when they're phasing out a system entirely? Except what I just searched didn't suggest that. Like they still have trailers showcasing the Wii U and the 3DS, and those systems are done. Like they're very done.
Maybe they were taken down for a time and put back up.
Maybe, but I guess what I'm wondering is that point I just made about them potentially phasing out the Switch and the Switch Lite. If they intend on bringing them back regardless, why take them down in the first place if it has to do with phasing them out? So I guess what I'm getting at here is I'm skeptical. Like I brought that up as one potential explanation why this trailer would be privated, because they're trying to phase out the systems. But if they plan on bringing the trailers back regardless, like I just don't understand what would be the point if they're, you know what I mean? Like, why do that? Why would you only temporarily take down a trailer if the reason is for phasing out? If it's for another reason, obviously there's a reason. I just don't. I'm skeptical that it's for phasing out because I just checked Nintendo's older trailers for older hardware, and they're still up, and they were phased out a long time ago.
I don't know.
Switch 2 is getting announced next month. That's what it is. Obviously, that's what it is.
That'd be
I'm
nice.
being sarcastic. Or am I? I think I have to be careful about this. I've been on the record, and I'll stick by it. I think what's going, and I know some people think I'm an idiot for feeling this way, but I'm being honest. I think there's like a somewhere between 30 and 40% chance, like that's where I'm kind of am in terms of like a possibility that Switch 2 is announced this year. That's still less likely than 50, right? Like if I had to hedge my bets, like or rather if I had to place a bet, gun to my head, what would I bet? I would bet the Switch 2 is not announced this year. I think that's probably happening later because I look at the lineup of games Nintendo has set, not just obviously for this holiday, but also for the first 3 months of next year. They have published titles leading up through March. I don't think Nintendo's going to have a very long announcement to release window. So I think once they announce it, it's going to be less than 6 months. So I just don't see them coming out with a Switch 2 like in March is what I'm trying to say. I think we're past that point already. And I think we're looking at the very, very, very earliest April. But what's interesting is that if the announcement's in November or December, that is a month or two later than when they announced or put out that teaser trailer for Switch 1.
Yeah.
So an April or May release for Switch 2, by my logic, is still on the cards. Because we don't know what Nintendo has planned for those months yet. And maybe that's what they're going to do, which would be something they haven't done before. But I will say, they had a pretty good launch of the Tears of the Kingdom OLED edition and Tears of the Kingdom itself earlier this year in the April-May timetable.
It was such a surprising release date at the time.
It was. Maybe it was like a test to see if they could push major sales during that period of time. And they did. So maybe that's what they're thinking now.
It's definitely possible. I mean, they could have a kind of teaser reveal thing, next month, and have like an early presentation next year, like they did last time, where they actually talk about the system in full, give prices, put pre-orders up, launch that in April or May. I would be happy just because it would be the sooner the better. Like, I wanted to buy this. Like, if you offered me Switch 2 today, I would be like, yes, pre-order now. So I'm still not. I mean, there's not really enough information to say definitively either way. There just isn't. But my gut feeling is I don't have one. It's just like it's still like confused. I'm still feel 50-50 on the situation. I'm just like, very hesitant to predict either way, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat here. Like Sam Talks About Games is asking, if you had to guess, what do you think is the most realistic outcome? And I mean, I just said that I'm 30-40 on it getting announced this year. But Brandon, I think you make a good point. Like, we really don't. I don't think we can say definitively either way what's going to happen.
No.
I just don't think so. But it is interesting that but both the Switch Lite and the Switch 1 trailers, the first look trailers, have been privated. It is interesting that there are several Amiibos set to restock in November. It is interesting that WarioWare and Mario RPG are the major releases for November. I mean, it's two polished Nintendo titles, so you could argue that's enough, right? But with no major Pokemon content in November, as we usually tend to have, it's interesting, right? Like, okay, maybe they could squeeze something in there, or December. It's interesting.
Gun to my head, I would say this is probably like it's a
Nintendo Museum trailer.
That'd be hilarious. But I think if this is hardware, I'm kind of leaning towards it being some kind of Switch Lite upgrade, like a Switch Lite OLED that would replace the original Switch Lite. And I would imagine they might do a quiet revision on the OLED version and try to phase out the base model.
Maybe. So one point I'll make is that I don't think Nintendo would announce a revision or even a special edition this late into the year, because I think a revision or a special edition, well, one, like if there be they wouldn't. those kinds of things would have a very short, announcement to release window, like, a couple weeks to a month or two tops, right? Um, a new system probably be 4 to 6 months. So a new system could happen during the holidays because by the time it comes out, it'll be well removed past that point. So it would make sense, right? But can you imagine them announcing a revision for the Switch Lite to come out in January? Like
Fair.
that doesn't make any
Pretty weird.
sense. Or even December, like that still doesn't make any sense. Nintendo's already announced their plans for the holidays. Now I know people bring up this counter argument a lot. It's not that I'm saying it's not a fair argument because I've made the same argument myself. I just think it's maybe not as important as some people think it is, and that's just that. Why would Nintendo announce a new system and ruin their holiday sales? I don't think it would ruin their holiday sales.
No.
People like to look at how the Switch trailer was announced during the holidays, October, and that was okay because the Wii U was dead. But the 3DS was still a thing. And yes, the 3DS was on its way out, but it was just as on its way out as the Switch is now. Like there were still major games coming out there was still a major Pokemon release in November. The year afterwards, there were still some pretty darn good games, like Samus Returns, for example. Like the Switch was still getting published, not the Switch, the 3DS was still getting published titles well into 2019. And we're talking about 2016 right now in terms of when the trailer came out for Switch 1. So I think they could do it. They haven't announced a price drop, which I think would definitely be if there was a price drop announced for Switch 1, then I'd be like, I think I would be above 50% of an announcement happening this year. But because it hasn't, I am skeptical, but I think there's still a good chance.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I think I'm like 40-60. I'm like maybe 30-70. I'm leaning towards it still getting announced next year, but it's moving ever closer to the 50-50.
It's interesting. Good. So like 40 is like my very, very high end, but I think I'm more close to 30 just because I'm a coward. And I'll say that I've seen some people, I'm not going to say any names, but I've seen some people on certain message boards that are risking their, I guess, ability to continue to be a poster on these message boards saying that they've heard something's happening in November. And if they're wrong, they will be banned. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But there's some interesting things going on. Now, this is something that I haven't made a video on, and I'm not sure I will. I think I'm kind of waiting to see if there's more that develops on this story. And that's that there's this rumor that there was a data mine on Reddit for Mario Wonder that showed the color buttons, the Famicom style buttons for the right Joy-Con, the ABXY, and the Famicom colors, the Super Famicom colors, and then also the directional buttons having those colors as well, but inverse, so that if you held the Joy-Cons for cooperative play, they would match the way they should, for each respective hand setup. But that is a rumor, and I don't think I've heard this from Neko Felipe on Twitter. Right? I've seen him talking about this on Twitter. He's calling it a rumor. It doesn't look like. I mean, I tried Googling it. I didn't find a source on it, so
it says a data mine.
Supposedly, right?
Well, maybe it's a data mine, then it can be confirmed.
Right. I guess my point is that I haven't seen the source of this.
Right. I'm just saying, like, if it is true, then it should be confirmed pretty soon by some other,
Yeah. Now, at this point, I'm kind of thinking it's not. It feels like someone just kind of put that out there.
Yeah, I feel like other people will be on this pretty quick. It's not that hard to data mine a game.
Well, no one's talking about the Switch Lite trailer being privated.
That's fair, but that's kind of like something you have to like search for. We just happen to look for it. All people data mine like every game ever, every time it comes out.
All right, maybe you're right. Anyways, I am skeptical of this one, especially. To your point, Brandon. Maybe we should already know about it for sure, and because we don't know about it for sure, maybe it's just a fabrication.
It's just weird. Nobody else has confirmed this.
Because it may not be confirmable.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. But I'm just talking about in case it is. Because if we do find that there is some sort of information in Mario Wonder for this button layout, and Mario RPG also has it as well, and doesn't need to have it because that's not how it was for the original American release.
Right.
That would be kind of like another, kind of supporting piece that maybe something's getting announced really soon. Because it also those colored button layouts are also in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which has no business having that button layout. Absolutely because it's not like Switch and it's not like GameCube.
No,
it's like Super Famicom.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, Mario RPG. There's an argument to be made because it's
based off a Super Famicom game.
Exactly, and the Japanese version, I believe, had that layout, right, but not the American version. So, like, they just went with the original version, and that makes sense. Like, it could just be for that. But if we find that Mario Wonder also has that kind of layout for a Switch 2 version in its code, and we already know about Thousand Year Door having it, then this becomes something substantial. But again, rumor. I haven't seen the source on it. At this point, it's hearsay. So, we'll see. But it's just kind of something I'm keeping my eyes peeled for.
Would be weird to have something with code in it with Switch 2 in mind this early.
It would be an oof.
Like next holiday.
It would be an oof. That's why Nintendo wants a all digital Switch. Which is something else that I think we can just kind of jump right into. So next topic, right? We're just gonna jump straight into it. You're gonna see the topic is Switch 2 Ray reconstruction. Now, guys, I will get to the chat soon, but I'm gonna kind of cluster in the Switch 2 stuff because it's all kind of related.
Right.
So the reason why the whole digital Switch thing is interesting is because it was discussed during the Nate the Hate podcast that came out last week, and it came out after this Switch 2 news, but he recorded it before Switch 2 news. By the way, guys, if you would like to stream, it'd be super helpful. It would get more people to be able to watch the podcast. But anyways, so the big kind of focal point that Nate wanted to kind of discuss during the podcast, for those that know Nate the Hate's an industry insider, he has inside information and is pretty credible. He's saying with definitively that Switch 2 will have ray reconstruction. In other words, ray tracing DLSS 3.5. Now, we've talked about this before, but before it was believed, speculated, now it's being said with some confidence.
Yeah, and some people were saying, oh, it's not 3.5, it's only 3.1. And some people were saying, no, it is 3.5. And just the fact that the naming scheme in general is pretty confusing to the average person leads me to believe that it probably was just 3.5 in those demos, and the people didn't understand what 3.5 meant.
Yeah, I think it's confusing because 3.5 sounds like an upgrade of a 3.1, and it is an advancement beyond 3.1, but they're different things. 3.1 improves frame rate, basically, frame generation.
Right.
Ray reconstruction is 3.5.
Yeah, and that improves the quality of ray trace effects on screen.
Yeah. And that's like basically a whole bunch of cool lighting effects like reflections, shadows, things like that.
Yeah. Light bounce.
It makes light. You see a lot more different effects that would be demonstrated by realistic light. And basically the game just looks way better when this is being taken advantage of. So what's interesting is that we're basically hearing that Switch 2 will be able to do ray tracing, but not just do ray tracing, do it really well. That it's better than PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series.
Ray reconstruction would definitely allow for it to push beyond the capabilities of the hardware, because those systems have nothing like this. Like, this is a significant improvement even for PCs on their ray tracing. So it could allow Nintendo to get a lot more out of their hardware for ray tracing.
Yeah. So another little detail that I saw recently is that Necrofelipe has said that from what he's heard, that ray tracing is gonna be a frequent common thing on Switch 2. Like this isn't. I think some people are saying, "Oh, this is gonna be too demanding." Like this is not a theoretically Switch 2 can do it, but we're not gonna really see it in practice. What's being argued right now and said is that no, this ray tracing is gonna be a big part of what Switch 2 does. That tech demo from Gamescom, the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo. The reason why what looks better about the version that was for Switch 2 was the ray tracing. Like the ray tracing effects are supposedly better in this tech demo than what it was for PlayStation 5.
Probably due to the ray reconstruction. I mean, the ray reconstruction essentially does what DLSS does to the resolution for ray tracing. So it ups the resolution and precision of every ray tracing effect on scene. So say, like, if you're running ray tracing effects at like 720p, then you can run them all the way at 4K with DLSS 3.5, and then you're getting a lot better results than something that like the PlayStation 5 might do.
Yeah, it also it mitigates a lot of the denoiser issues. Like, have you ever seen like ghosting, or it's kind of frames? You'll see like an image sort of repeated a little bit, or you might see like some lighting effects kind of be subdued or kind of gone. This fixes a lot of that. It's better. It gets cleaner. It looks nicer. It's better.
Another issue with typical ray tracing is that it takes several seconds for vastly different like lighting conditions to actually settle in. So say for example you're playing Minecraft, you're in a cave, no light, you break a block, and all of a sudden light floods in the room. You're gonna see it take a couple seconds for the light to like propagate through the room, and if you then close off that light source, you're gonna see the light kind of stay behind for a few seconds as the room darkens, which is obviously not what you want. But with ray reconstruction, you can do that in half the time or less, so you get a lot more responsive ray tracing effects.
It's interesting seeing how different games on Switch have handled kind of like the changing of light. Like when you leave like a structure in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and come back out, the lighting shift is very unrealistic. It's very weird. I know they try to get like some sort of dynamic engines going with that. Like they were very ambitious with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but there's just a lot of things about it that clearly are in need of some polish, and you see a lot less issues in Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah.
And I can't think of Tears of the Kingdom having any like significant like lighting problems. Obviously, I'm talking about like way simpler things. You know, we're talking about Switch versus like Switch 2. But like if you go into a cave in Tears of the Kingdom, you're not going to see like this really weird transition of light. Not that I can remember, but in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, when you go inside like a tomb or something, come back out, it's like the light starts off really harsh, and it almost seems like a really cool effect, but it's very inconsistent. And it's just kind of weird.
I think they were trying to pull off a kind of like eye adjustment effect where like you step out from a dim area to a bright one, your eyes need to adjust, but it didn't often look correct.
Yeah, and I wonder if that had to do with the lighting loading in, and it just didn't do it quickly.
It's possible they could have been using some sort of probe-based system, which is essentially like cameras that kind of determine the lighting, and it could have just been slow.
Yeah, but anyway, going beyond the ray tracing part, you know, the basic story is like for those that were doubting ray tracing, it now seems more likely. And not only is it going to be there, it's going to be prevalent, and it's going to be better than the other versions. Just the ray tracing aspect, right? Like we're not saying Switch 2 is more powerful than the other systems, but there will be some things here and there because it is more modern hardware with more modern NVIDIA tech. It's going to have some advantages too.
I think at the very least, we're going to see a lot of games where the PS5 version, the Xbox Series X version, and the Switch 2 version have ray tracing, but the Series S version does not get it.
Yeah, maybe. Because
we're already seeing the Series S not get a lot of ray tracing features or 60 FPS modes, and I think the Switch 2 will be able to do a lot more.
Yeah.
With just because it's gonna have a lot more tricks up its sleeves to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that there's a little bit more information that came from the podcast. Nate the Hate said that he has heard still late 20. Well, when I say late, still second half of 2024. So that information, I would say, goes against this idea of Switch 2 getting announced this year, because if Switch 2 is not coming out until at least July, I just don't see them announcing it until sometime next year.
No.
So that's what Nate the Hate has most recently heard, at least according to his podcast. Beyond that, he also heard that there will be 2 different versions. That rumor that came up about there being 2 different Switch SKUs, that apparently lines up with what Nate the Hate has heard as well. Now, I think it should be maybe clarified that this part that we're talking about isn't as... It didn't seem to be... from how he worded it, didn't seem like he was saying like he had several like sources confirming that this is the case, both with the Switch 2 release timing and this whole double SKU thing. Like, it wasn't as confident as the whole ray tracing bit.
Gotcha.
But still, that's what he's last heard. So that's what he's putting out there. He expects second half of 2024, and apparently 2 SKUs are on the table. And, I think, an all digital version is fine as a second option.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be a $50 price difference. I think it should be a full 100.
Yeah.
But that's totally fine. And I'm definitely getting the physical version, especially if it is tied to backwards compatibility, which is another rumor from another place that we talked about last week. I think it would be weird if they did that, but
I don't believe it. Personally, I do believe, however, that there will be 2 versions. I think there's going to be a $400 normal physical version, and there's going to be a $300, maybe $350. I think that would be a mistake.
They might do a $349.99 and a $449.99, I guess.
I just think that'd be
too
really
much
expensive.
I agree. No, I don't. I feel like Nintendo would be best off shooting for a $399.99 and a $299.99. Like, I think that would be the best. I mean, I think the best bet would just be have 1 SKU. Personally, like I prefer just to be 1 SKU and then release others down the road. That's what I prefer. But can I see Nintendo putting out a second version so they could have a lower price point for those that think 400 is too much, but also so they can kind of convince more and more people to get into just getting games digitally, which benefits them not just from a profit margin perspective, but also from a perspective of trying to reduce leaks. Because whenever a major game comes out, some sort of physical version breaks street date, someone takes it, data mines it, and the game is leaked a week or 2 before the game's actually out to the public. So they want more digital. Of course, if there's still some physical versions, it can still be leaked. But the more digital, the more the ratio is in favor of digital over not, the better their chances are of reducing leaks.
I'm fairly confident that the next PlayStation and Microsoft machines will not have any sort of disk drive, like, with the system. There might be like a separate one that you can buy, but I think the standard versions just won't come with one.
Yeah, I think what happened with what's trying to be done right now is they're trying to normalize all digital. So you start off by giving options, but
you stop giving options.
Right, exactly. It's like, this is your option. So there you go. I will say, I mostly buy games digitally. Like, that's just how I do things. It's just more convenient for me. I can have the game immediately. I don't have to change out the cartridges all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much it. Would be kind of neat, and I know this is maybe not a good expectation to have, but it would be cool if they have at some point, maybe it's not out of the box, but like if they have like a special dock where you can just have several cartridges just plugged in, so you can just...
I've seen a lot of fan mock-ups like that.
Yeah, you just choose which one you want to play at the time, as if it was just downloaded digitally, and that way you don't have to switch out all the time. of course, it wouldn't work that way when you go into portable mode, and I don't know how the software would work, but maybe that's why it would be possible on Switch 1, but maybe Switch 2 it would be.
Oh, I feel like it. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. I don't know if they'll do it.
I basically want a disc changer, but it's a cartridge changer.
Yeah, I used to have those like 5 disc like movie players. You could just like press a button, it would change to whichever disc.
And that was what the device was. Like people would buy that just for that feature. So is it really, if people would buy once upon a time a device just to do that, is it really crazy to think that maybe that could be a single a feature that Switch 2 has?
Maybe, but
yeah,
I mean,
it's probably still crazy. But
you could just buy a micro SD card and then just store them there digitally. As many as you want, as many as you could fit. Get a whole terabyte.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have the physical people who want to have the physical game. They want to own their game.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's enough of those kind of people who then also buy this dedicated changing out thing. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could just do like a smaller production, and then it doesn't really matter if only a couple million people buy it.
It might be something that only a few select people would want, like myself. That's it.
I feel like they could probably make something with a budget to where even if it just sells like 1 million or 2 units, it's still good.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, I don't think what we're talking about is anything crazy. It's just It might have to be an additional purchase, right? It wouldn't be something that would come out of the box,
right?
But what if you can buy like $120 dock that does that? It has that extra hardware to get that done. But that's just random speculation. There's nothing to support that idea beyond it just being convenient for me and like 6 other people that care. So it's more than 6. Like it's one of the benefits of digital, like you're not having to change out the cartridge. Like sometimes I don't want to have to change the cartridge out, I like having everything all in one place.
You can keep your most played games, even if it's just 4 slots, like you're not probably playing more than 4 games at a time, like consistently.
Yeah. It's not that much of a problem, but let's I mean, is there anything else I feel like we kind of covered the Switch 2 stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, let's check in with the chat. Let's see what you guys think in the chat about this different Switch 2 stuff, and then we'll move on to our next topic. So, let's see here. Race Prince, I still have all of mine and games I bought for them. I'm all for physical to preserve the game in my library for 20 to 40 years in the future. All right. Game preservation.
Hell yeah.
Rizky Gumiyar, Nintendo need to evolve their IPs. They're still stuck in the 90s in terms of tech and storytelling. You agree? No, I don't.
No.
I do
not
agree.
What are you talking about? That's just objectively false. Do you know how far back technology was in the 90s?
You could argue that they're behind, but not 90s behind.
That was 30 years ago.
Yes, that was 30 years ago. I'm moving on here. I'm going to focus on ads. Salmon talks about games. Something about this whole situation feels fishy. Feels like the stars are aligning for Switch 2 before late 2024. I
could be.
So second half of 2024 doesn't have to mean late 2024. No. Because July is not late 2024. It's just in the second half. Like that's the 7th month of the year. That's summertime. That is dead smack in the middle. Like it could be July or August or September.
Yeah, I think September is probably like the latest. That I'm feeling.
I think October is the latest, but I agree that I think September is a better month just because I think you want to have a few months before the holidays. You want to build up a lineup of games coming out more consistently. And
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you though that even September, like there's only so many months left, right? If you do like a July or an August release, that's that's 1 or 2 extra months. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
If they're going for a summer release, maybe they could still tease Switch 2 this holiday, but it would be like a very subtle, cryptic tease. It wouldn't be as detailed as that Switch 1 teaser, and they would be going for like a longer hype window because technically we knew about the NX before the Switch 1 teaser, but it wasn't anything. It was
to
just
do
okay.
just
We know
like
there's a system. We just don't know
a
what it
couple
is.
seconds, we see like glimpses, shadowy glimpses of the Switch 2, and they're just like next generation Switch announcement coming soon.
Well, Nintendo used to have like the code names. Like they would publicly reveal that. Like I remember there was a Nintendo
Yeah,
Revolution. Like there was a trailer where it was still
and they
called
revealed
Nintendo
NX.
Revolution. Yeah. And yeah, when they referred to NX, like they referred to that on social media. It's like, hey, we're gonna reveal what the NX is. Like I would actually be kind of down if they were to have a teaser this year, but the teaser isn't like the equivalent to the Switch 1 teaser because it's maybe less. It's more cryptic, but maybe they could show like 5 to 10 seconds to like Metro Prime 4 gameplay and maybe a snippet of Mario or something, and it's like coming 2024. Code name Switch Boogaloo, electric style. Like that would be exciting, but also less than that first look trailer. And I think that in that scenario, we could have a situation where maybe they tease that in November or December, and it comes out in the second half, but like summertime. Like it is more like a 6 to 8 month window, but that's because it's not like it's not the same thing as when they showcased that first teaser trailer for Switch.
No, yeah, it doesn't go over like the different features. It's just kind of like small glimpses of the system. Just a fact,
Like
pretty much. It's just pretty much an announcement of the fact that they're making another system. Like,
yes,
because they haven't even really officially been like, "Yep, guys, we're making a new system. It's coming out soon. We'll announce it sometime soon."
yeah, because the Switch first look trailer, like it told us what the system was. Like we knew what it was. We saw it. They showed us several examples of people. Like they explained what the system was with that trailer. It was very clear what it was. I would love it if they showcase the system and they leave it up for speculation. They just let us go crazy. Like, whoa, what is this? What does it do? does it toast Pop-Tarts? We'll debate that for 3 months before they actually tell us, oh, well, it plays games. Oh, didn't think about that. It'd be kind of fun. I'd be down for that.
I see the dock now serves, instead of just being able to plug in your Switch, you can plug in any kind of thing. They got an adapter for your dock to turn it into a toaster, so you can toast a Pop-Tart right in the middle, right in the gap.
Yeah. And then maybe it also can refrigerate drinks. That'd be nice. Although that's why you have a PS5. It's clearly a cooler. But anyways, I see here Chronorig has renewed the membership, been a member for 12 months. Thank you for sticking around, buddy. Very much appreciated. I see here the Elemental Hero, the Shadow Link, Dragon Wolf King adds me. Do you think the Switch 2 will fix some of the problems that Scarlet and Violet have? Also, would this help the future of the Pokemon games? I believe that on more powerful hardware, we're less likely to see performance issues with Pokemon. But make no mistake, the issues we see in Scarlet and Violet are a product of the development structure at Game Freak.
It's a software issue, not a hardware issue.
Yeah, they could get a much better running game on Switch.
Right. Putting that code on Switch 2 will just result in a faster running version of the exact same experience. That you won't eliminate the pop-in or the ugly textures or the glitches or the low resolution or any of the other problems the game has. It will only fix the frame rate. That's it. Unless they do a patch to specifically make the game work better on Switch 2, then no. Which, I mean, that kind of patch, you would need to actually go in and like make the engine better.
Yeah. I really do hope that they lengthen the generation a little bit. I think they need to go to 4 years. They can still have another game release in between, but maybe
Yeah.
pawn it off to another outsourced studio.
Yeah.
Maybe outsource Let's Go Let's Go Johto or Eevee, like I don't something, or just take a break.
Yeah. Why not? You got enough money, guys. It will be fine.
Well, the thing is, when you're talking about a business, right, and their bottom line, like if they know that if a certain practice is going to lead to more money, telling them, hey, don't do this, you'll make less money, like it's hard to convince. You know what I mean? It's hard to convince a business that if they're gonna be fine, like just from a business perspective, what is the argument
Well,
for
how
them
much
to
has
just take a
Pokemon
break?
Scarlet and Violet actually sold?
A lot.
Well, yeah, relative to other games. So how much has it sold?
It's one of the best selling Pokemon games to date. Let me check the sales. Let me just check Switch sales. I don't think it's past Sword and Shield yet, but it's close. I'll double check here. All right, so yeah, it's right behind it. So as of June 30th, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's at 22.66 million copies sold. Pokemon Sword and Shield is at 25.92. So this is before the DLC push, right? And there's still more DLC coming out next year, and they get to enjoy another holiday season now. Scarlet and Violet may pass Sword and Shield, and at last I checked, Sword and Shield is the second best-selling set of Pokemon games ever. I think the first is probably just.
I'm just gonna say, guys, Pokemon fans, what are you doing? What you?
I'm about.
What is? You're not giving Pokemon Company any incentive to change, guys. Like, you're not voting with your wallets. I'll say that much.
Yeah, so
yeah,
Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue have sold over 30 million.
I was gonna make an argument that, oh yeah, like Pokemon, because I thought it had sold like 12 to 15 or something. I was like, it could probably sell like, 25, 30, 40 million if it was actually a good game. But like, if they're making products like this and they're selling 22 million, why would they make a good game?
Okay, well, let's say it like this. If they only come out with one Pokemon game every 3 years, and that one Pokemon game sells 40 million copies, that's amazing. But if they come out with a Pokemon game every single year, and each year it sells 20 million copies, 60 million is more money than 40 million, and by a lot.
Yeah.
So I think part of the problem is that while yes, there is a sizable amount of people that are kind of okay with the quality of the Pokemon games and will play them as is. Well, actually, what I was trying to say is that there's a sizable amount of people that wouldn't. There's more than enough that will. So by just, even though they would bring in some extra people by focusing more on quality, would it be so much so they would make up for the lost sales per year that they get simply by their consistent fan base that'll play them pretty much no matter what.
That is the saddest thing I've ever heard, but it's so true. Video games should not be like this.
Yeah,
video games are for fun and to make great.
Now, you can make the argument that they're hurting their brand right now.
True. Very much so.
While at first the effects may not be clear, if this continues to happen, it'll kind of be lesser and lesser, right? Like, like what if this happens again for the next generation? And I kind of think on it. I'm like, you know what? I think we're gonna skip this time. And I feel like I'm a core Pokemon fan, right?
Yeah.
Now I haven't gotten the DLC yet. So how is that? Why is that? Well, I guess I don't know. I just haven't felt. I don't know. I just don't feel like doing it.
You skipped Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, right?
Yeah. Why would I play that though?
Exactly.
Well, Ultra Sun and Moon was just like a remix of Sun and Moon.
I heard it was just worse, like a worse remix of that game.
That game bothered me. Like the only reason I would have played it was or bought it was because I wanted to play competitively or something. So yeah, but for outside of Ultra Sun and Moon, I've bought every mainline Pokemon game that's come out pretty much ever. I didn't buy Gen 3, but that's because I was a little kid. I borrowed it and played it from a friend. But when I got the remix came out, I played that. So anyway, yeah, it's weird, but I do think that on Switch 2, because of improved hardware, we'll see less issues, but there still is an underlying issue with how they develop games. That said, though, I've had an optimism that they are improving things. The DLC is taking longer to come out than it did last generation. They are doing DLC. They have shown a willingness to outsource their remakes. So we'll see. They've changed around the structure of how they're handling the anime. It started later. It may be the case that they are kind of positioning themselves to have a longer generation. We'll see how things shake out. But there's room for optimism.
Even if Pokemon Company is okay with releasing the quality of games they are, I don't think Nintendo is.
They're not.
Like, they don't want to publicly apologize about a game's quality like every time a game comes out. Like,
no,
that's embarrassing. They don't want to do that again.
And the fact they put out a public statement, I think they're not going to let that happen again. Even though people have been kind of expecting them to kind of patch Scarlet and Violet to the point where it doesn't have these issues in any significant way. Hasn't happened yet. But there may be more of a focus on just the next game.
Right.
Doing it right. I'm not saying they won't eventually kind of patch this one, but they may be waiting for like the big DLC update. There may be a Switch 2 version or something, but I think it's a good point, Brandon, that with Nintendo stepping in, that increases the likelihood that the quality issue will diminish somewhat. Now, I see we have a super chat here from Taker610. Thank you very much for that super chat, buddy. Taker says, I heard from no one that Switch 2 will have an optional disc drive so you can play GameCube, Wii, and Wii U games on it.
Yeah, that seems so likely, guys. You know what? I'm adding this to my Switch 2 predictions. Definitely gonna happen.
Well, imagine that the Switch 2 dock, you can just put it on top. There's like a disc drive that you could just like slap it on top, and then there's a little like you can just slide.
I mean, you could just have a USB like separate optical drive. You just plug right in the side of the dock.
What if it works?
Technically, they could literally do that now if they wanted to.
They won't.
Probably not.
But that would be. I mean, I would buy that.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
But I don't think that would make sense for them from a business perspective. They'll make a lot more money just by unless they re-release all those copies in the stores now. Like,
right? Yeah, they're not making any money off of those games.
Right. So then they're just gonna remaster these games as they have been, and will continue to do so. But it would have been fun if they did something like that.
I mean, somebody else could do it if you played like a hack Switch, technically. You just need an optical drive that can read those kind of discs, and then you just need to hack your Switch.
I will not remark upon hacking or emulation.
Don't do it.
I have a no comment strategy with that.
No comment approach.
Don't ask. Don't tell. I just won't talk. I'm not gonna talk about emulation. Just won't. Elemental Hero Shaolin Dragon Wolf King asks about what about the ray reconstruction? Will this help the Pokemon games too?
I mean, if they have ray tracing, it will help the ray tracing effects look better. Yes.
Yeah, there was a rumor that got all the details for the DLC right when they were announced beginning of this year, talking about a graphics patch for Switch 2 for the second wave of the DLC, which would imply that Switch 2 does come out early next year. But we haven't seen anything else to that, so I'm very skeptical of it. But if there is like a graphically enhanced version of Pokemon, ray tracing would be nice, but as much as I would like to see ray tracing, I want to see a smooth frame rate first, and I want to see
Yeah.
clean textures and not glitches. Like, I just think we're so far away from even like thinking about ray tracing
So
in
far.
Pokemon. Like, I think hitting a solid 30 with clean, non-blurry textures and no glitches. I think that's the threshold we should get to first.
Yeah.
When we get
Like,
there, let's talk about 4K 60. When we get
actually
there, let's talk
designed
about ray
parts
tracing.
of the world.
Yeah, like we're just
finished games.
I mean, Minecraft does has ray tracing, right? And that looks pretty like, like yes, they could do it even if it's like a simplistic looking game. They can still put in those effects. But I just want to see
you
like
can
it run well first.
all effects like cell shading and stuff are just like changes to normal way lighting works. Like the way that like a cell shaded game does its lighting versus the way like a normal game, like at its core, is the same. They just kind of simplify the results in a cell shaded game.
Yeah. It
It's
would
the
be
same
really
with
cool,
like
though.
ray tracing. You can do ray trace cell shading.
I'll be more excited for if there is a Legend style Pokemon game, even if it doesn't have the Legends name moniker that comes out next year, and that kind of has some significant visual enhancements for Switch 2. That I'll be more excited for, especially because Legends already shown that they can probably get that running better than Scarlet and Violet. I'm not saying they can't eventually get something like Scarlet and Violet to run well, but
I think they just
obviously
didn't put enough time.
Yeah,
I literally think
exactly.
that game was not done.
No, it needed at least another year.
Probably,
at least.
yeah.
Yeah. But we've talked about this point to death, not just today, but
For sure.
since its release.
The other thing about just a quick comment on ray tracing in general. Companies have to like build ray tracing in their engine or use an engine that supports ray tracing to use it. So it's not like every company just has instant access to ray tracing just because they're working on Switch 2. If their internal tech doesn't support it, they straight up can't do it. So they either have to build a thing into their engine that, to support ray tracing with it, or they have to ditch the engine and use a different one. So don't expect every developer to just instantly switch to ray tracing just because Switch 2 is capable of it, even if it has plenty of power to do so.
Yeah, you gotta do stuff for that.
Let's
move on to our next topic here, and then we'll close out with some Q&A.
Hell yeah!
All right, so Mario Wonder came out last Friday. We've been playing it, and it has been a good time. So I'm kind of curious how you guys feel about this. I'm going to ask you guys in the chat here. Actually, what's a more interesting question? Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've asked about Switch 2 getting announced before, so let's not beat a dead horse here. Let's ask something more interesting. Will Mario Wonder be nominated? I'm not saying it's going to win, but will it be nominated for Game of the Year?
Ooh.
At the Game Awards.
Right.
Because there's other Game Awards shows.
Have there been 2D games nominated for Game of the Year before at the Game Awards?
There's been indie games in the nominations before, so...
fair.
I think Hades was up for Game of the Year last year.
Yeah.
I think.
Was that last year?
I think.
Damn.
Game Awards.
I'm going to say yes, actually.
Nominees, I mean. So, last year... Okay, the last year the nominees were Elden Ring, Stray, Xenoblade 3, A Plague Tale Requiem, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok. Stray is not a 2D game, but it is an indie game, I'm pretty sure.
It is.
It's a small game. So there's that. I wonder about 2021. But I Metroid Dread won Best Action Game. Actually, apparently Metroid Dread was up for Game of the Year in 2021 as well.
Oh yeah, Mario Wonder's definitely going to be up for Game of the Year.
Now, Metroid Dread, some people may look at it as a more ambitious 2D game because it has a lot of 3D visuals and it goes behind a camera perspective and things like that. But Mario Wonder does some of those
wacky Mario games.
some things too.
It's constantly giving out
Yeah.
crazy ideas, unique ideas.
I think Mario Wonder is it has some really cool visual tricks. Like, it is a pretty game that has cool
It's
effects.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, like, Brandon, like, what are your kind of overall impressions of Mario Wonder so far? What do you make of the game?
I want to keep playing it. This is the first time I've ever picked up a 2D Mario, and after the first world, I actually wanted to keep going. I've never gone past the first world, and in the new Super Mario Brothers games, and actually been able to be like, yeah, I want to keep playing this. Never. Like, and the crazy thing is, like, I want to get everything in the level. Like, it's actually fun to explore the level and do everything. Like, it's not even that the setup is that different. Like, there's those purple kind of 10 purple coins, which are kind of like those large golden coins you could find in the new Super Mario Brothers games. But I never cared about those in the new Super Mario Brothers games. I never thought they were that fun to find. I never thought that levels were really interesting to explore at all for any reason. It was pretty much just get to the end of the level and survive. That was the only thing. That was like my only goal. In this game, I'm exploring. I'm trying to get everything. Like, it's just completely different experience from the new Super Mario Brothers games in such a positive way.
Yeah. The video I put out today, I was kind of trying to talk about like what makes this game so special. Like, there's something about this game that sort of helps it stand out from the rest. And I think there are several factors, right? Ultimately, I think it comes down to just them having a large team that came in with thousands of creative ideas, and they continue to workshop them, and they were willing to kind of rethink the foundations for what a 2D Mario game is, and they just took their time with it. They had no deadline, and this amounted to this. I'll say, yeah. I mean, I haven't beaten the game, but it's definitely giving me masterpiece, or at least extreme high quality, for what a 2D Mario game could be.
The polish on this game is through the roof. Like,
yeah,
it's one of the most polished games I've played in a long time. Period.
So, something that I posted on Twitter that I just thought was worth noting is the menu screen, like the start screen. When you go to pick your save file, you'll see different save files, and each one is for each Nintendo account you have on your Switch, integrated into the start menu for Mario Wonder. Like, yes, for example, like with Legend of Zelda, you have one save file, but technically you have a save file per Nintendo account, right? So if you switch to a different Nintendo account before you jump in, you can just start a new game that way, or have another file that way. But in Mario Wonder, it is like that still, but it's integrated into the actual game. You don't have to switch out of the game. Like, and I really like that. That's like
very convenient.
That's like a quality. It's just a quality of life thing that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I used that today to let my friend Kevin play the game.
And it's nice because you can see all the different files there. You see all the stats there. Like, it's cool to have that there, and that's just one of a variety of things. Something that I kind of envision myself talking about in more detail, perhaps even just a few days from now, is the online and multiplayer of Mario Wonder. Because I'll say that I had semi-disappointed expectations for Mario Wonder, because like it seemed like they were kind of suggesting there wouldn't be online play or multiplayer in the way we wanted. And when they revealed the online multiplayer, I was like, oh, okay, I guess we don't have it in the way we wanted, but we still do pretty much, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of speculating that it might be this way when, like, before the game came out, but it's confirmed now. Like, it's basically just being able to play with your friend online, like normal, but the only real differences between playing like how you would expect is your kind of separate instances of the levels. So for example, like enemy placement's not the same. If you activate a Wonder Seed, it doesn't activate for them, things like that. And of course you can leave levels and enter levels at any time, but otherwise it's basically like we're playing together.
Yeah, I mean, there's interactions. Like you can bump, there's not collision, but you can like interact with each other. Like there is like an animation for when you brush by each other. You can send emojis to each other. You can share items, right? You can save each other still. And when you save each other, you get unshadowed, like you show up on screen as if you were
Right.
playing locally, and also when you reach the stage together, and there is like a little bit of a buddy point system as well. So there are elements, and like I was playing online with just like other people, not any friends in particular,
Right.
and I was doing a stage where I have to find these different coins in a level, and I couldn't find like one in particular, and there was this other player that was trying to tell me where it was. Like they put the standee, they were jumping, and I was like, I don't get it, I don't get it. And eventually I realized there was a certain warp pipe I could move. And
Ah,
I figured it out a little bit sooner because they were helping me.
right.
And so there is like this, as Nintendo said in their interview, that there's this casual connection that they have that kind of you can interact with others without it really impeding your progress in any way,
Right.
and it can enhance your experience.
You only have
And
to interact as much as you want to.
exactly. You only as much as you want to. I actually really like how they balance it out, because I still found myself playing challenging levels. Whenever I
Mm.
see the 4-star ones, I still do those.
Oh yeah.
But I also say that I just tend to die randomly, and it's nice to just have
Yeah,
someone there that can come save me. Like it's nice to
for
have
sure.
that. But it doesn't take away from the challenge for me. It just takes
No.
away from some of the frustration.
Yeah, for sure. People being able to save you online is very helpful. I imagine it will help a lot of people too to be able to beat certain levels they might not have been able to beat by themselves, and they may not have another person that like locally to help them out, or even online. Having like
Yeah.
random people to interact with is great. I think one of the coolest things was when I realized you could actually just give me an item, even though technically we're not in the same level. Like the item kind of appeared in my level, and I could see it not ghosted. I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually grab this, and it was great. It really helped out because I needed the elephant power up for one part of the level, and I didn't have it, but Andres had it.
Yeah, and I mean, and you see each other 1-to-1, right? Like
Yeah.
it actually kind of feels a little bit like an MMO, um,
Yeah.
because wherever you are in the world, like it's one giant world, and your friend or even other just people randomly playing online could be on different parts of not just one map, but different parts, like the whole map, each
Yeah.
world, and you can interact with each other, and it's all happening in real time. Like if I see Brandon go into a stage, I don't have to follow him. I could
Nope.
do another stage, and we could be doing each stage separately. But if I jump out and he's taking too long in one stage, I could go into the stage and catch up to him. Like
Yeah.
we don't have to like wait to start a stage together. It's all happening in real time. And it's interesting because it makes me feel like the game is like more interconnected, if that makes any
Mm.
sense. Like obviously, yes, there are levels and they are separate from the overworld that you explore. But the fact that I can follow you into a level like 30 seconds, a minute later, and catch up to you, and then leave, and you could still mess around there. I could go beat a
It
level,
makes the
then
worlds
come
feel a
back,
lot
and you'll
more
still
real.
be there. It feels like the levels are just rooms that you walk into.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I like how we can do literally anything in the game together. Like there is no restriction. You can play the entire game with somebody else, which is great. Because I was kind of worried that they were gonna have only certain levels, or like, and you can do races on any level too. It doesn't matter which ones. I thought maybe they would only be in like certain race levels, but no, you can just race your friend in any level you want. And there's very few restrictions actually. It's pretty great.
Yeah, but it is pretty great.
You don't have to worry about your friend having bad internet, making like the level lag or something. It's just perfectly smooth the entire time.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any issues like that.
I
No.
don't think the online determines, because they're instances and they're not the same actual like server. Like you're not making a level on a server that's then being shared between two people.
I mean, if
It's
there's
just
a disconnect, then
local hardware.
all it impacts is you being able to interact with that particular player, I'm assuming. And
So
your
there's
entire game is totally fine.
Yeah, no
Otherwise.
amount of bad internet could make your game experience bad, which is a great way of setting it up. Because if they had done normal traditional multiplayer, they would have. If like your friend's connection or your connection was bad, the game would have lagged.
Yeah. And just moderating a little. Anyway, all I'm saying is, listen, you can talk, you can have your own opinions, but let's not insult others.
Let's be respectful in the chat,
Repeatedly
guys.
at the same time. Like, you can have a negative opinion, you can have a positive opinion. That's okay, but let's dial back the insulting. Let's keep this a chill environment. Listen, if someone wants to argue with me, come at me. That's different. That's different. I'm an argumentative
Put 'em
person.
up.
I like getting in fights, right?
Hunters will fight you out back.
I'll take you on. But like, I'm not, I'm me, right? Let's not fight everyone who's just here to have a good time.
This is video games, guys. At the end of the day, none of this is important enough to fight over. We're all friends here. We're all chill. We're all just trying to have a fun time in the world of entertainment. Remember, guys, this is entertainment.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Now, if you want to see me get into a fight, go watch Nintendo Prime's podcast on Wednesday. I fight him every Wednesday. I think that's why I do it every Wednesday, because I'm just like, you know what? I need to fight somebody.
So, me and him have had our own fair share arguments on this podcast as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's all fun games.
We usually agree, but I don't mind it when we disagree. It's fine. I don't even know. I can't even think of a time you've pissed me off. I don't think it's happened.
I'm sure it has.
Maybe there's been once or twice where you said something and I'm like, I think you could have worded that differently. But but that's it is. I get over it after like a second, So anyway, in Mario Wonder, that's how the game is designed, though. It's designed in a way where where the negativity of others can't ruin your experience.
Yes,
they kind of phase that part out of the gate, like out of the experience. It's just you can help people, but you can't impede people.
Right.
And I know some people are not happy with that.
Actually, my friend Kevin mentioned that he kind of likes to fuck with people in the game. So I don't know.
Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
Yeah, go play that. That game exists already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still compete with each other, but again, you can't like hurt each other. I'm trying to. I think earlier today I thought of something that I could do that could impact someone negatively. I'm trying to
just run away from their ghost or something.
Yes, you can do that. You can avoid someone's ghost.
Yeah,
you could do that. But
to be fair, you're just not helping them. You're not hurting them. You're just not helping.
You're refusing to help them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you could like what you could do
try
is
to block their view of something.
You could let them think that you're gonna help them and maybe steer them away from another place that would have been able to save themselves. Like say there's a standee and you're like, oh no, you hop and it kind of put an emoji, hey, I'll help you, and you kind of walk towards them, and then as right before they get to you, run away. Like you maybe do something like that. But otherwise, I'm not sure what else you could do. I mean, you mentioned the standee thing. Maybe you could use that to kind of obscure vision a little.
You could try to be distracting, just like run around, try to mess them up, just distracting them, just like jump on them all the time.
Something I've noticed is that when you do that, because in every level when you're playing Mario Wonder, when you're playing with friends, you can there's a block that you can press to like do it as like a race against whoever you're playing with. You can start the race whenever you want physically. Like I think it's just an honor system.
Yeah.
I don't think there's actually anything stopping you usually, unless that's just like how the way the level's designed. So you could do something like that and just start anyway.
I imagine if you run too far before it starts, it stops the race.
Maybe something else you could do is you could release your item, like share your item in a way, but your teammate is, or a friend or whatever, is not expecting it, so they run into the balloon accidentally and they change their item and they don't want that item. So you could do that,
Yeah,
I
you
guess.
could do that. Although it appears above head height, so
Like it would have
curious
to be
how
well
you.
placed and timed, and
Yeah, it'd be
you would
hard to
have to
pull
kind of
off.
anticipate their movements because you would have to be ahead of them as they're kind of moving with some momentum. But I think it's doable. Otherwise, I can't think of anything else bad you could do to somebody in Mario
Mhm.
Wonder. You could tilt your head. You could like just make weird. You could mess with their head. Like you could do that. Like when we were playing last night, because if you look up, right, you can look up by holding up on the stick. But if you do it repeatedly, you start kind of like nodding your head.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you could just kind of mess with people, I guess, right? Just by doing weird stuff, but you can't physically stop them or chuck them off. But I personally never was a fan of that. So I actually really like the bounce they've struck here. It's better than I expected.
Oh, I forgot that people could pick you up in the new Super Mario Brothers games. That was the most annoying thing ever. That was even more annoying than having people bounce on your head. Was having somebody pick you up and toss you off the edge.
Oh, yeah. Not a fan.
No.
Like it just depends on what the game is. Like, if you're playing Smash, like that's the point.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to get somewhere. For me, it's always I'm just not a fan of that. But I am a fan of this. Like I finally like multiplayer in a Mario game, like a mainline Mario game. I have never liked it before. Be it the 3D ones, like most of them only had co-op, like subtle co-op.
Right.
But 3D World had actual multiplayer. I did not like that. I wanted to just play the game on my own because people would get in the way of me doing what I want to do. And I actually think I'm pretty good at 3D Mario. I think I'm a lot better at 2D Mario. Like
3D World, I had less issues with just because you have more space to run around, so you can fit more people. But I was also usually playing with one other person, not like 4 people at once or something.
Sure. Yeah,
but the 2D games, you're just constantly hitting each other.
Yeah. But going beyond that, like the visually Mario Wonder looks great. I love the foreground effects. I love the variety of the environments. They had more of an animation budget this time. It looks amazing. What were you saying about World 1?
Even in the first world, there's like multiple different types of like environments. Because you got like the underground section that's completely different from like the main plains, and then if you go up, you can break a rock, and then there's those other segments up there that look different. Like there's variety. There's several different and like biomes, I guess you could call them.
Yeah,
or just types of environments in just the first world. And none of the environments are generic. They're so unique. They're almost like alien. They're like wild.
Yeah, there's some pretty crazy ones. The wonder effects. I actually am surprised at how much variety I've seen with the wonder effects so far. They have not really disappointed me.
Every single one of them has been unique. Like completely different gameplay styles. It's crazy. Like every level feels different. It's not just like about type platforming. There's so many more ideas on top of that.
Yeah, some of it requires some actual thought and planning. There's a variety of gameplay here.
And there's different types of levels. There's like races. There's different types of races, like the one we were playing, where you had to do like you had to kill all the enemies in 3 different rooms and move on. There's races where you just have to be the fastest. There's the badge challenges, which all feel super fun. And
really like the badge challenges.
Like there's just so much level variety.
And there's a lot of little secrets too. Like I found some secret areas that are fun. It's fun to try and 100% everything.
Exploring
like I only have positive things to say about this game. The only negative, and it's not even necessarily a negative, it's just maybe not like a positive, are the boss fights so far. I've only done one boss. I've only done one boss fight, so take that for what you will. I didn't hate the boss fight. It was fine. Like it
wasn't a 3-hit system. I mean, overall there were 3 phases, but the final phase had several hits that you had to do.
Yeah,
so it wasn't just 3 basic blocks.
There was a little bit of a figure out for me. It's like, okay, like how do I hurt this guy? So there was something to it. It was interesting. It just wasn't. I guess when we were playing, I was doing it for a second time with Brand. I had already done it beforehand, but I was trying to go back and like get all the flagpoles and
Mm.
stuff, like the very tops of them, while I was playing with Brandon last night. So I was doing the boss for a second time. We were kind of talking about it last night, and I brought up how like it's fine, but this is no it doesn't compare to the first boss fights you've seen in 3D Mario games like Bomb King and Mario 64 or on in Good Egg Galaxy, the PD Piranha dinosaur or the giant space dragon in Galaxy 2. Like it doesn't compare to how epic those first
Yeah.
bosses were.
It's weird because the wonder effects usually change like the whole level and the stage, and this one just changed you and him. Like
Yeah.
that was it. It was a very basic change too. Just you got big and he got small, and then you got small and he got big, and that was it.
Yeah.
I assume there's gonna be a lot more creativity in the later ones, but this is it's a weak spot for the game for sure in terms of creativity. Like it's literally just the old boss fights where they can take a few more hits and you get big and small.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I think we're gonna now transition to some Q&A, so we can still talk about Mario Wonder or anything else Nintendo
Cool.
related you guys have in mind. So Brandon will and I will wrap up this Mario Wonder talk here as you guys pour in some questions. So this is the opportunity. We're gonna do a 2-hour show.
Mm,
So we got less than 19 minutes. So this is your chance, and we'll try and focus on as much as we can. I will say welcome Ray Spence. They have joined as a member. Thank you
thank
for
you.
joining. Good to have you. And again, I'll put a reminder when I start doing the extra live streams, those will be unlisted. So you got to be around for when it's live to see them. But if you're a member, yeah, I will provide access to those once I start doing them. And I may do like one like kind of bonus video a month for members to watch. But then also, if you guys want to do the call-in segments during the podcast, recommend a topic to me beforehand. We'll talk about it. If it's something we can do, you can come in and we can talk about it for a few minutes as well. But yes, thank you for joining Ray Spence. Welcome. Now, what was I gonna say? Trying to the chat's like going all whack on me.
Mm.
Brandon, is there anything else you want to kind of mention about Mario Wonder before we move on to the Q&A?
I don't think there's anything specific. I'm excited to play more of the game though. I've only experienced the first world. I know you've seen some levels of the second world as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to get to the next boss because I hope the next boss. I'm with how much variety and creativity and just unique ideas there is in all the rest of the game. Surely they go way further with the later bosses.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. You could be right. I'm not. I don't have low expectations.
No.
So we'll see what happens. Something I will mention. I actually really like the map, and like just world
Yeah.
1 has different kind of settings. Like there's the first area, it's very green, but then there's like a desert area and there's like a northern desert area.
Yeah, and there's
But then
the
there's like
under
a
the
whole
pipe.
there's under like there's variety, and that was just all like World 1 feels like maybe almost like 3 small worlds in one, which is cool.
I love
And
how
then
you
there's like
can go around and like do almost any level at any time. There's very few
yeah,
levels that you like. There's batches of levels you can do like in pretty much any order essentially, and then you get a few wonder seeds to unlock a couple more batches of levels. It's not like you just going World 1-1, World 1-2, World 1-3. Like I don't even think they label their levels that way, like 1-1 or anything. It's just the name of the levels, right? I don't think they have a specified order in their name at all. Like I remember trying to figure out which one you were supposed to do first, and I didn't see any clear indication in the game.
I gotta check because I just don't remember. Let's see. Exit course. So when you go to courses, is it like I'm gonna check right now. when I go to courses, I think it just have names. It's just
Yeah,
World 2. They don't. There's no
there's no
numbering, at least not
specified
on the.
order.
No, there's not. There is an order, kind of like you go through like a row to select them, but it's
Right.
not like it doesn't tell you like which one you have to do in any
Yeah,
way. And
and
it's
when you're actually playing the game, or if you're selecting it by running around the map, there's no indication of which level you should do first.
yeah. So there is freedom there, right? It's not full on freedom, at least at this point, but there's freedom. Like you can do certain levels out of order,
Yeah. I
but there
mean,
are
when
still certain points you have to unlock to progress further.
like after you do the first level, you kind of unlock that like open area where you can do a couple levels. If you just run up and pay 10 purple coins, which you almost certainly have at that point, to break open the rock, you can skip all of those levels in that first section and start doing the levels at the top first if you want to.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, you don't have to do everything, right? You just have to get enough to progress, and so you can go in
Yeah.
different, like slightly different directions. That is true. But let's move on to doing some questions now because we are running out of time.
Cool.
So Chicken Nugget asks, "What are your favorite pizza toppings?" So
Pepperoni and bacon and grilled chicken.
I am not sorry to say, I enjoy pineapple,
Mm.
but I also enjoy sausage. I like sausage and pineapple. I like.
I don't really
This
like
is
Italian sausage.
one of my favorite combinations is barbecue sauce, sausage, and pineapple. I know I'm a monster, but
Oof,
I
my
like that.
friend.
But I mean,
Oof.
I'm okay with the standard cheese. I'm okay with the pepperoni. I'm okay with an
Beef's
entire
pretty good. We got
yeah.
steak at Hungry Howie's. It's pretty good. My friend Kevin's really interested in salami lately.
I'll have any combination of meat on my pizza. That's fine. But I enjoy some good mushrooms as well. Yeah. I've even had like dessert pizzas before
Yeah.
from like Colombia. Like those are really good.
Well, I
Uh,
made a donut today. We put like pumpkin spice seasoning and cinnamon sugar on it. I haven't tried it yet, and icing. But it's just dough with that on it.
that does
Giving
sound
kind of a
nice.
donut shape.
Yeah. I don't really think there's anything I won't eat. I
There's a lot
can't
of things I
eat
won't eat.
shrimp because I'm allergic to it.
Ah,
But otherwise,
I'm not
I
allergic to
was
anything. I'm just a picky
I
eater.
I used to like shrimp too. Like I became allergic like in my 20s.
Shrimp's
So
okay.
not like only a few years ago. Yeah. I guess shrimp would be a weird topping for a pizza, but just saying.
Actually, I would try that. To be honest, I would try that.
I would try it if it wasn't gonna clog up my nasal passages and cause my
Yes.
eyelids to swell up. So, yeah,
Just take some medication. You'll be fine.
sure. J.R.R. Tolkien, a 2D Zelda with Mario Wonder art style. Discuss.
Well, I mean, like 2D
Yeah.
Zelda is not 2D in the same way that Mario is 2D.
Yeah,
But
Nintendo Prime likes to refer to it as top down, which I think is a good
yeah,
descriptor of what it
isometric.
is. Yeah. I'll tell you though, if you're trying to maybe imply that we should get like a Zelda 2 remake, that would be pretty interesting. Because Zelda 2 is actually more comparable to Mario Wonder and
Yeah,
other
yeah.
2D Marios than other Zelda
It's a
top
side
down
scroller.
/ 2D Zeldas. Yeah. I think that'd be really cool. I would love that actually.
That'd be
They were
great.
remake Zelda 2. That I think there's a huge opportunity there. That would be fun. Heck, you could just remake it like that style of game, or you could reimagine it into like a 3D linear Zelda game. I mean, I guess Zelda 2 is kind of like not linear actually.
Yeah, I think it's pretty not linear, which is why it's so obtuse. Or part of why it's so obtuse. It lends
Yeah.
itself to being obtuse, I should say.
Yeah, I'd be down for it, regardless of how they do it. I would love for Nintendo to
Yeah.
revisit Zelda 2. Like
Maybe give a few
I
more
would love
hints,
it.
like kind of make it less kind of cryptid, but quality of life improvements.
Yeah, There
It
are
is an
some Zelda.
extremely hard game as well, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it is extremely hard. It is brutally hard. That it's harder than Dark Souls. I'll tell you that. What was I gonna say? In terms of the art style, though, there's a few 2D Zeldas like I love the Minish Cap style.
Oh yes,
Love that.
one of the best.
Yeah, I would love it if they were to make a modern 2D Zelda that isn't using 3D visuals. That's just
I would
very
love if
picturesque.
they like
I'd be all for it.
remade Minish Cap with like almost a hand drawn kind of style.
Sure,
That would be beautiful.
it would be amazing. Yeah. So that it would be cool. I'm all for it. Nintendo, I would love it. Nintendo can keep experimenting with 2D Zelda art styles. Let's do it. Like even Link's Awakening, at first I was thrown off by it, but I actually came to like it a lot because it was good for kind of like the dream setting that game was for. So it actually made a lot of sense.
I think that game looks absolutely gorgeous on Switch. It's a pretty decent technical showpiece for the system, actually.
It looks great.
Unreal Engine 4, I believe.
It was running at 60 frames per second too. It was nice.
Yeah, some stutters in between loading zones, but other than that, it's fine.
So I got another super chat here from Taker610. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. Taker asks, how are you guys feeling now about the whole Amiibo restocks coming up? Something significant, or will it be another burger? I do love me some burgers.
But not if they're made of nothing.
Well,
I feel kind of the same way.
And cheese.
Yeah, some substance. I kind of feel the same way about that specific part of everything. It's just another piece in the puzzle. I just feel like we have a few more puzzle pieces now. You know, like that's. I don't feel like it really adds anything more than it added before. It's just kind of one more thing, you know. That's another thing in the list.
I guess what I want to ask you, Brandon, is it fair to think that the Amiibo restock theory on top of this Switch private video theory, like do they together kind of increase the chances of it amounting to something? Or are they just totally isolated and then there's no real connection at all?
It's very hard to say because there's a very large likelihood that they're not connected at all. Like, there's no real need for them to be connected. Like, I doubt if they did some kind of Switch 2 teaser, they would then be like, okay, yeah, let's take this time to do Amiibos. It just kind of feels weird.
I'll say this, Brandon.
I don't know if it really does.
If we do get a major announcement next month, or even at the end of this month somehow, like if it happens this week or something, never again will I doubt the Amiibo restock theory.
Well,
and also never again will I doubt
the Amiibo. Because if they have a teaser and they don't talk about the Amiibo during the teaser, and it's a separate thing, then obviously that doesn't mean anything.
Well, if they talk about the franchises that are related to the Amiibo,
I guess
they're restocks. They're not new stocks. You understand?
Oh, I get you.
Right. They wouldn't have to like say, "Hey, the Amiibos are out." Like there wouldn't need to be an Nintendo Direct say they're restocking Amiibo.
Right.
The point would simply be that it's supposed to hint that they're expecting a reason to sell more during that period of time. We'll see. But I'm saying that if something happens in November, right, the next time that there's a privated video, the next time there's some Amiibo restocks, and people are like, nah, it means nothing, I'll be like, hey, this has meant something every single damn time. So, you know.
It could mean something.
Yeah,
I think
we shouldn't assume that the something has to be switched to. There are other potential somethings. Yeah. So, well, we'll see. But it could be a nothing burger, which is why, like, you know, I'm trying there's a good chance it may be a nothing burger. There's a good chance it may be something, but not what we're expecting. And there's
Did
another
the
chance
amiibo
that it is what we're expecting
did the
or
amiibo
hoping.
they're restocking come out around the same time, like
Same day.
generally?
Wait, well, like every year? No,
No. The specific ones that they're going to restock, did
they're
they
all the same
initially
day.
release? Yeah, but their initial releases were they
I don't
close
think so
together?
because one is Smash, one's Zelda, one's Mario, one's Metroid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it's not them just restocking it because they feel like it's been a while for these. Like they're all different times.
So I'm not going to pretend like I understand the entire chronology of Amiibo restocks, but according to the people who've been keeping up with this hasn't happened before, where this much Amiibos have been set to restock on the same day.
Okay.
This is a high number of Amiibo restocks happening at the same time, and there's a history of them lining up with Nintendo announcements.
It is just weird that the Nintendo would be like, you know what, we want to push with Switch 2 announcement Amiibo. Because they barely care about Amiibo anymore. Like it's still a thing they do.
Listen,
but
the
it's not
Amiibo
like it was in the
restock
Wii U
line
generation.
there was an Amiibo restock that lined up with the Sora announcement in the Nintendo Direct. Like they do, we've seen them at working as hints for a major Nintendo announcement.
I just find that to be odd. I'm not saying whether or not it's true. I'm just saying I think that that's weird because they don't really focus on Amiibo that much. Like it's really an afterthought.
I'm gonna
these
see
days.
if I can look into it more, and maybe I can do a more dedicated video on just talking about every time there was Amiibo set to be restocked and what sort of event it led to.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's been every single time, but there's been a correlation.
that's definitely
Moving
worth
on.
looking into.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ellis 335. Here's my question. If you want a new built from the ground up third-party character to be made next into a potential next future Smash Bros. Game, who would it be and why? It's got to be a new ground up, fresh third-party character.
Doomslayer. I've wanted Doomslayer in Smash Ultimate, and I want him now still. He's a classic FPS character. If not him, then the guy who's the main character of the Wolfenstein games, I can never pronounce his name. But he would make sense as well. But I would prefer Doom Guy because I'm a much bigger fan of Doom. And I feel like this Doom series is more popular these days than the Wolfenstein series. I mean, they're both still coming out, but I think Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are generally regarded as like near perfect titles, whereas the Wolfenstein games are just pretty good.
But
they're both like,
I mean,
classics.
I think it's Doom. I mean, if we're talking about a character from Bethesda, I think Doom Guy makes the most sense. So I don't think you're going to see much debate there. But I'm not going to say that because you said that. And, I'm not saying I wouldn't be okay with that, but that's not something I personally, fantasize about.
Fair enough.
Now, truth be told, I have a hard time fantasizing about any specific third-party character because I think I'm pretty satisfied with the lineup in Smash Ultimate. Like, would I like it if Master Chief from Halo was added? Sure, I would like it.
That'd be huge.
It would be crazy, but I'm not like thinking, man, that what a crazy moveset he would have. He has his grapple hook and there's a rocket launcher and well, okay.
I'm never really thinking about Smash for the moveset, to be honest. I'm just like, man, I want to play as this character. I'm sure Sakurai will make him play awesome, no matter what. There's hardly ever that I'm like, I want this character in Smash specifically because I think the moveset would be cool. Like, I come up with a cool moveset, but usually I want a character in Smash because I like that character. I want like celebrated in the Smash pantheon.
Yeah. So because I'm a fan of Sora from Castlevania.
What?
Or Soma. I would I don't know why I said Sora, but
Sora
guess
from
my
Castlevania. Yes.
brain, like Dawn of Sorrow, like I would like that. But there's already some Castlevania characters, so there is another character I have in mind that's third party. Well, there's two. No, okay, there's two. One is Conquer. Just because if Conquer came in, I think he could be a really wacky, fun character. But also, the implications is that maybe we get to see Conquer on Nintendo. Like I would love to see Conquer's Bad Fur Day come back. Maybe Conquer's was it Live and Reloaded? That was the Xbox one. Like I'd like to see those games on Switch or Switch 2. But one that I actually I think there's a third party character I would actually like to see that I've thought about before and hasn't happened yet is Travis Touchdown. I would like to see Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes make it into Smash Bros. Especially because in No More Heroes 3, the end, the final boss fight is 100% a Smash reference. And I want to spoil it, but it's not even debatable. Listen, like it's just straight up Smash stage. Like I'm telling you, just Google it. No More Heroes 3 Smash Brothers final fight. Like it's Smash Brothers. It's 100% a clear like, oh, we're referencing Smash Brothers here, and it's kind of like Travis Touchdown making his bid to be a Smash fighter. So like thinking about the different characters, like if we're talking about third party characters, I want to see Travis Touchdown for No More Heroes added as a Smash character. Like that's my actual pick.
Hell
yeah. Samuel asks, where do you think the Miami Heat are headed this year? I think the NBA has just kind of totally written off the Miami Heat, even though they've been to the finals 2 out of the last 4 years, including last year, and they've been to the conference finals 3 out of the last 4 years. And yet somehow, even though the last 4 years, they've been the winningest team in the league.
Did you just say they were the winningest team in the league?
Yes, in the playoffs. They are consistently written off. So I think that they're actually going to do well, and I think they're going to have a better regular season than last year. I think last year they just had a lot of injuries. And I think what we saw in the playoffs is more to who they are. And I also think that they're going to be better. Well, it's going to be tough. I think because there's always a chance, right? Like even if you're better, that doesn't mean you're going to go further, right? Because there's always a chance you're going to lose. There's always a chance you're going to win. But I think their chances this year are going to be better than last year, believe it or not. And I think that's because some of their young players are getting better. And I think they have the pieces to make one valuable trade to really bolster them. And if we're talking about a team that's been this good in the playoffs, I think they're going to surprise people because for whatever reason, the NBA just hates Miami. So whatever. But yes, I have high expectations for them. Risky Gumi Art, Andre's Restart. Have you finished Spider-Man 2? I haven't bought Spider-Man 2, and I'm not sure I ever will.
What? This guy's crazy. Next Friday, or this Friday, I'm literally
I don't
buying
have
a
anything
PS5.
against it. It's just I haven't been a fan of the Spider-Man series. That's it. It's nothing.
It's Spider-Man, bro. I don't know. I just love.
Yeah, and
I've always
love
been
the
a
movies.
huge fan of Spider-Man.
And I love the movies. I don't know, but I guess there's something about the game.
Outside of video games, Spider-Man is like my biggest franchise. Period.
I will say that seeing the Spider-Man 2 footage has kind of, for whatever reason, gotten me a little bit more into it. You know what it is? I haven't bought a PS5 yet, and there's kind of like a few games like I'm like thinking, man, if I for example, Elden Ring, I could get it for my PS4, but I might as well I've waited so long.
The PS4 version's not very good.
Right, like I might as well either wait for a possible Switch 2 version or get it or buy a PS5 and do that. But money is a factor, but two is also timing, right? And
you get a PS5 for like $350-$400 now if you buy it from somebody else.
Yeah, well, maybe, right? And there's games I want to play on a PS5. Like I want to play the Demon Souls remake. I want to play Elden Ring. I want to play Resident Evil 4 remake.
I want to play Final Fantasy 16, bro.
I do want to play Final Fantasy 16. So there are some games that I want to play, but if you'll notice, most of those games take a long time, right? So like, will I really have time to play all those? And then if I manage to play all those before anything else that's worth my while on that platform comes out that I wouldn't play on Nintendo, like, will I then want to get into Spider-Man? I don't have
Yes.
time. I don't have time to do that.
I am making time. This Friday, I'm going to buy a PS5, or at least this Friday is when I get paid. So after that, I'm going to buy a PS5, probably from somebody. I'm going to play Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I'm going to play Spider-Man 2. Bro, I'm going to be...
I hope you enjoy it.
You know, Nintendo's being slow for the next couple months, so, like, there's going to be a lot more time for me to play non-Nintendo games, to be honest.
Well, it depends on what you define as slow.
Yeah, I mean, if they announce the Switch 2 and it's coming out, you know, that'll still give me a few months, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, if you're not going to get WarioWare or Mario RPG, and you don't care about, what was it, like, I don't even remember the name of the game, but I thought I was going to get it. The
Donkey Kong game?
No, the January release. Another code recollection. There you go.
Oh, yeah. No.
I didn't have to Google it. I almost Googled it, but before I typed, I was like, it came to me.
The only
I've been
game
thinking about
coming
getting
out
that game.
that's been announced for next year that I know I'm going to get, other than Thousand Year Door, obviously, is Princess Peach Showtime.
Princess Peach Showtime.
That's the only game between now, like, past now that's been announced that I know for sure I'm going to get.
You want something that blows my mind that just kind of dawned on me recently? Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake that's coming out next February is a $50 game. That's a remake of a Game Boy Advance game that you can beat in like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime Remastered is $40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not feeling good. I probably won't get that game until it goes on sale. I want to play it. I think it's gonna be a good game, but $50. I'm not made of money, guys.
Yeah. Hans Probs in the chat is asking, bro, what is that background music? I know it somehow. Well, there's a few different tracks that are looping. The one that's playing right this moment, and I don't know. I think he said now it's Mario something. It's Jolly Roger's Bay.
Mario 64.
But I think this is. Let me see. I think this is the one.
This is a remix of some kind, isn't it? I can hardly hear it though.
I have it quiet. I could raise it a little bit, I guess, but this is from Mario 64. But I think
the original. Okay.
But there's a creepy one in this track that is from Meridia, which is from Super Metroid. And there's another track in here, I believe it's from Ocarina of Time. I think it's the Water Temple music.
Odd choice.
Yeah. Is it? I picked 3 different water levels. There's a theme.
I did not pick up on that. I didn't pick up on the theme until just now. It's just like of all the Ocarina of Time songs, like I don't think of the Water Temple theme ever.
It's good, man.
I just literally don't know. Like, I don't know that one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what it is. I think it is. I just don't remember. And the way it's set up here on the pod, I can't like skip through it. It's just if it plays, it plays. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So, yeah.
It is what it is.
Yes, pretty much. But yeah, that is the answer to the music. Oh, you know what? Lex here was saying sounds to me like Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask. It was Ocarina of Time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that what you guys were hearing was the Water Temple music. Yeah, pretty sure. I can double check.
N64 music there's nothing better.
Yeah,
something about it. Probably the nostalgia, but man, so good. They just don't make it like they used to.
Okay, I am confirming. It is the Water Temple music from Ocarina of Time. So
nice.
That's what it is. Yeah, the one that was before this was that. Yeah. All right, so to close out the show, I'm going to close the poll.
Nice.
So,
I think I know the result if it hasn't changed from when I voted, at least.
No, well, you're wrong. It changed drastically. I'm kidding. All right, so I asked earlier, Will Mario Wonder be nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards? 71%, or I think it rounds up to 72% of you said yes.
Nice.
Mario Wonder will be nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. So that's a fairly large group of you that believe it will. I guess the question is, what wouldn't? What would make it over Mario Wonder? Tears of the Kingdom.
Spider-Man 2.
Over?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm just listing different games that way.
I think from what I've heard, it definitely should be in there too. Like, I'm not trying to dispute that at all. I am not a Spider-Man 2 hater. I'm just not a Spider-Man 2 fanboy because I haven't played the series.
Enough.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, just not in the sense that, like, obviously, like, they specifically pick Spider-Man 2 over Mario Wonder, but just it's another game, and there's only so many games that can be nominated. So
yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, definitely.
Definitely Starfield, even though it was pretty disappointing to a lot of people. I think it will still probably get nominated.
Final Fantasy 16. I feel like Starfield and Final Fantasy 16 are like fringe.
Final Fantasy 16 definitely has the quality. Like, that game did not, like, disappoint anybody. Like, everybody gave it rave reviews.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the best Final Fantasy games, like, in a while, from what I've heard.
Oh, I haven't played Hogwarts Legacy.
I don't think that game will be included.
Why?
It just doesn't seem like it really made as big an impact.
Just you wait till the Switch version comes out.
It's the same reason, like, Jedi Survivor, I don't think is going to be nominated because that game had, like, a crap ton of issues on pretty much every platform for so long. And it's still broken on PC.
Hogwarts Legacy has an 84 on Metacritic. That's pretty good. That's pretty high. What did Starfield get to? I think Starfield's in the 80s as well. Let me double check. And 83 on Metacritic. What about Final Fantasy? I think Final Fantasy 16 is also in the 80s.
Probably.
87. That's pretty high.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Yeah. Especially since everyone hates Japanese RPGs. By I say everyone, I mean the West.
Mainstream media, Western media.
Yeah. Well, Final Fantasy 16 is like the most mainstream RPG there is.
It's very Game of Thrones-esque.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of those I think are like in a similar conversation. Like if we're just basing off reviews, Final Fantasy 16 like should get in above Hogwarts Legacy and Starfield. What else is there? Because I think it's 5 or 6 that'll get in, right? Last year there were 6 titles.
I don't think Forza is a big enough deal to get in. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's just not like a racing game's not going to win Game of the Year. Unless it's like Mario Kart.
Sure about that.
But even then, I don't think Mario Kart would win.
F-Zero 99, baby. F-Zero 99. Exactly. Let's go. That's gonna win it all. That's gonna complete the list.
Honestly,
I think Mario Wonder should be nominated.
I think
like,
we're just going by not that many games, to be honest.
Like,
that could be nominated.
So, like, I mean, what metric do we use? Popularity? Check. Innovation? I would say it's innovative. Check. Reviews? Check.
Mainstream appeal? Check.
It's a new game. Like, it's not a remake, right? So there's
the
no
first
like
new 2D Mario game in 10 years.
Like, technically, Metroid Prime Remastered from a critical acclaim perspective should be actually in the conversation for Game of the Year, but they're not going to do that because it's a remaster, and no. Well, why would they be fair? So, but yeah, I think Spider-Man 2 definitely is in there. Baldur's Gate 3 is in there. Tears of the Kingdom. I would say Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, and Mario Wonder are locks. Final Fantasy 16 seems likely to be in there too.
I would be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah. Next year, it's going to be 3D Mario Metroid Prime 4 from Nintendo.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that.
I would love to
but,
see Pikmin 4 nominated, just out of the blue. I think it could just. I think it deserves to get a nomination. I don't think it will get one.
We won't. Not for Game of the Year. Maybe
No.
Best Family Game. It'll get snubbed. I mean,
I
don't know.
I just hope it gets something.
Maybe should it get like Best Strategy?
Ooh,
It'll get
yeah.
snubbed. I don't know why. They'll just snub it because they'll snub it. But yeah, I think Pikmin 4 deserves some love.
For sure. Love
Wait,
that
like we're talking about, like it's one of the best games of the year from Nintendo. It's a really good game.
Yeah.
So I think it deserves some love. Like I kind of want to do like a Nintendo of the year kind of game awards.
game.
Be interesting. But
Hell yeah.
it's a much smaller lineup. So
Yeah.
anyways, I think we've reached the end for tonight's show. I don't know what will happen this week, but maybe it'll be interesting, and we'll talk about it next week. But that's all for now, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye, guys.